What's going on, party people? WrestleMania 40 has come and gone, and we are here to talk about it. What's going on, y'all? This is Bros, Brews, and Botches. I am your boy, Yellow Boy, and as always, here we got the H to the W. That's Hogs Wars. What's up, man?
What's good, my guy?
Not a whole lot. It's been a busy weekend, brother.
Hmm.
Busy weekend. We well, you did the Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor on Friday night.
Hmm.
Then we had NXT yesterday. I did that, and now we're here to talk about both night one and night two of WrestleMania 40, the biggest WrestleMania ever, or at least that's what they
Yeah, it was smaller than SoFi last year. Who would have thought
said.
it?
Well, we'll get to those in a bit, but before we get started, make sure as always, y'all, that y'all will like, share, subscribe. Make sure that y'all put those comments in the comment section. It does help. I know that we're not as frequent as we used to be, but it still helps with the almighty algorithm. If you haven't already as well, make sure you follow us on those socials. We have the Bros, Brews, and Botches Instagram, post it right down below your boy Hogs Wars, and we have both of our social media links or names attached in our titles. So go follow us. Anywho, Hogs Wars, biggest WrestleMania ever. What you think?
Negative, but but
That was a quick response.
but no, it was a good WrestleMania. I get why they try to call it the biggest WrestleMania. There were some very overbooked portions of WrestleMania and that we were all expecting, and I was thankful for. But other than that, it's WrestleMania. It's what we kind of expect,
Yeah,
good, bad, and different.
yeah. I mean, it has been referred to and now confirmed that what we're going through now is the Paul Levesque Triple H era. It has gone from the new age to the attitude to ruthless aggression to PG. Here we are now in the Paul Levesque era. What you think about the Paul Levesque era so far?
Well, as we always like to say, it did suck. So hey, that's a
Ah,
good
there it
thing.
is. He said the thing. He said the thing. Awesome.
but
Um,
put away, it's better. It's gotten better over the last year. I definitely say that. It's like they finally kind of started to find their groove. So I'll give it that. But I'm ready to get this over with because there's a lot of matches.
it was, and I will say that night one seemed like it drug on more than night two.
Heck yeah.
Um, but we'll kick this thing off talking about night one. Thank God that there's nothing in the pre-shows anymore. Those pre-shows start 2 hours before the main show. However, if you guys have the premium Peacock, then you get to see all the little vignettes and stuff like that before each match. But if you are like myself, who only got the standard of Peacock, then you got commercials, and we're only able to watch the vignettes during the pre-shows. So, um, but yeah, there was a lot of commercials. There's a lot of brand synergy that was throughout both nights. I mean, we already
Man.
knew that the Prime logo from Logan Paul was going to be in the ring. So that was one, but you had Prime, you had Dude Wipes, you had Fallout, you had Knuckles over the weekend. You had, what else did they have? Slim Jim,
American Home Shield.
American Home Shield. Um,
Sheesh.
there was a,
What didn't they have? Yeah, dog.
yeah, they had a lot, but we kick off WrestleMania weekend night one with the purveyor of the Triple H era, Triple H, to give his, speech and kick it off and stuff like that. So it leads into the first match of the night, which was the women's heavyweight championship between the champion Rhea Bloody Ripley and Becky Lynch, the man, Becky Lynch. Hogs Wars, you had anything as far as note wise for this match?
Uh, Great start. I really enjoyed the performance for Rhea Ripley when she came out, especially because the guy made himself look like Rhea Ripley like when she first came last year. So I thought that was really cool homage. I was like, nice move. I like that. And of course, she came out like her usual. I'm punk rock herself out here, and we all know she fine. That's all right. I gotta say no more. And otherwise, good match. Set up a lot of you know stuff over and over, but as we've seen, I think today we have started to watch a lot more wrestling than we realize, and we're starting to catch on to a lot of things we shouldn't be catching on. So I'm starting to see what you mean by sometimes the thrill is gone when you watch this much wrestling at time.
Unfortunately, you just kind of, and it's not necessarily a bad thing because we're able to understand the psychology, not to the extent of someone who actually wrestles or someone who actually does the booking and things of that nature, but we can
Mm-hmm.
identify it a little bit better than the average casual watcher, if there is such a thing, that watches it, once or twice a week. So, I completely forgot the name of the band that came out for Rhea Ripley. Um, but the lead singer definitely looked like a previous version of Rhea Ripley when he
Mm-hmm.
came out, because everyone put out on the interwebs that was that Rhea Ripley. No, that ain't Rhea Ripley. That's the leader of this band, um, which was pretty cool. Like a live
Mm-hmm.
performance, like this year, the live performance was pretty good, as opposed to another live performance that happened later in the night, which was kind of sorry. But we'll get to that. Becky Lynch came out to promote her book and came through, bursting through her book and her outfit. Ring gear was her book inspired, had pages from her book taken out and all over, laid out. The cover of her book was on her arms and stuff, which I thought was cool. Um, Kudos to Becky Lynch, who was battling strep throat, had a
Mm-hmm.
102-degree temperature at one point, which I believe, to me, I feel like that's why they made this match first, because one,
Mm-hmm.
that temperature yesterday, even though everyone had jokes about it being Michael Cole being a forecaster all night long, given the temperature and stuff like that, it was still 52/48 on the field, on the floor, and somebody that's going through strep doesn't need to go out there when it's lights out and the sun's down and stuff like that. So hurry up and get her
Mm-hmm.
on out there, because I would have assumed that they would have put the ladder match first to kind of get the crowd going. But seeing as how she was sick, I kind of figured that that would be probably a reason why they start the show. But yeah, like you said, there was nothing really, um, I guess, as a surprise to anyone. I think everyone leading up to this match felt like Rhea, even though it's been a year, everyone still felt like Rhea should win. Just hope that we're not starting a trend where all the world champions have to hold it for a year, you know,
Mm-hmm.
approximately a year, because that just kind of gets stale after a while. But um, unlike the issue that I reported when I did the NXT show, it didn't start. They didn't start off too quick. They kind of got in their element. But like I said, no one. I think there was a few people that were going with the false finishes and stuff, but Rhea hit a somewhat decent riptide to the corner, and then one regular. So she hit about what, 5 riptides in the match?
Mm-hmm. 3 to 5. Hell yeah. Because one of them was damn near off the top rope. And
Yeah. So
led to that last one. So it's like you just look. I mean, say what you want to about the chick. You could tell she was nervous about how everything looked and not trying to hurt her and everything like that. So you could tell it was coming off that way, especially near the end. But it's like when she won, it's like she almost looked relieved almost. Like, whoo, we got through this. I knew you was hurting, but I'm glad it's over with. So you can go on and be sick somewhere else and I don't be.
right, and I mean, with that, Rhea Ripley retained the championship, which I was talking, as I said on my NXT cast stream. I said that um, where do we go next with
Mm-hmm.
Rhea Ripley? And I was saying to folks last night at the WrestleMania party that I was at, that I alluded to on the NXT stream, that I think that a natural move would be Liv Morgan for that because of the tag team, the way they broke apart, and the way how Liv has not been mentioned, did not show up on Mania,
Mm-mm.
has not had any, outside of the stuff with Becky, there's nothing, and the fans clamor to live. So I don't know. What's your
Mm-hmm.
take on that before we move forward?
I definitely like to see that, or like one of the matches that came on later. You have a couple of these people with all the black girl magic. It'd be nice to kind of see one of them have a little quick feud too, just to see them. But I don't know what they're about to do with them because it seems like they're trying to take them in a different direction. So,
So we move on to the next match, which is the six pack uh, ladder match for the undisputed tag team championships. And let's go through the list, shall we? We had we had A Town Down, which is Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, The New Day, Austin Creed, and Kofi Kingston. You had what is their
Mustache Mountain and them.
that's not Mustache Mountain. Their new Catch
Oh,
Republic,
New Cats Republic. Yeah.
New Catch Republic, and that's Tyler Bate and the Bruiserweight Pete Dunne.
Mm,
You have of course, the champions, Judgment Day,
Judgment Day.
Damian Priest, and Finn Balor. You also had in there because there's six of them. We're
Oh,
still going.
uh, Truth and
Yeah, the
Miz.
Awesome Truth, R Truth, and Miz. And who am I missing?
DIY.
DIY or Shawn Michaels and Triple H, or as they're
Right, because
really
that's what they look like.
as they're really known. Well, that's what our truth calls them, but as they're really known as Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. So I don't know about you. I'll just kind of kick this off. It seemed like to me when they made this match and how they were announcing it that they were doing this solely to be able to split up the titles
Mm-hmm.
because that's been a problem. You've had these unified championships for so long. There's nothing on, the different shows, and they kind of the champions have to float between shows, but they really didn't. They kind of just stayed on Raw
Mm-hmm.
more than SmackDown. So it was like this was the way to kind of break it up because when they announced it that they had to the tag team gets the belts, then they have to continue the match and get the other belts.
For the
And
belts.
I was just like, depending on how they call this, either they have to get the other belts, which is impossible, or if another team gets the other belts, then they'll be the holders of that. And that's kind of how Samantha Irvin had called it when the first team had reached the top of the ladder and got the belts. Um, she said, and new SmackDown tag team champions. And I was like, oh, well, they are going to ahead and just splitting those belts up.
Mm-hmm.
But New Catch Republic looked good in this match. I never thought that they would win, but they looked really good. Um, Pete Dunne caught the fade and got DDT through a table.
Man.
He caught the fade that springboard from DIY. I really hoped that DIY would win, but in my heart of hearts, I was like, well, maybe not because they're just not as popular. But I will say for the first belts, the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions are A Town Down Under, and I didn't even call that one. I couldn't see that one coming with them two, just because I guess they earned it, if you will, because of all the crap that they've been taking on the shows, and
Mm-hmm.
they've been, you've had Grayson Waller eat a whole bunch of stuff from the legends, and Austin Theory, just the foul way that he cashed. Didn't he cash in for the U.S. title? Wasn't that him?
Uh-huh.
Cash in for the U.S. title, lose it, and just kind of fell down the card and just kind of been there. So I guess this may be their redemption arc, if you will, and they're going to talk a lot of cash money on SmackDown on Friday, and it made sense because they're a SmackDown team too, so they did that on purpose. And before you get
Mm-hmm.
going with the other half of the match, I will say I did get a good chuckle out of R Truth wanting the hot tag, even
Right.
though it wasn't a tag match. He stood outside, he grabbed the tag rope, and he was and Miz acquiesced and tagged him in like a jumping, leaping hot tag. And
Right.
of course, he's doing the John Cena 5 moves of doom, hit everything,
Literally.
you know, and hits hits the AA and pins. I forget who he pinned, but he pinned him and then gets up like, yeah, we won. Like, truth, this is not a
This
regular
ain't how
tag
you
team
win, buddy.
match.
This ain't how you win.
But it wouldn't be our truth if they didn't put over the fact that he gets confused in matches. He brings a
Oh,
ladder out to Royal Rumble, or he's not even in a a ladder match, and he comes out and then makes himself part of it when he's really not. But
man, I'm still mad at him at the Royal Rumble. It came in the Women's Rumble. He's like, where everybody else at? Like, you in the wrong
right,
one, man.
right. But what else did you think about the remainder of this match, or other things about this match?
uh, Unlike you, I kind of was expecting them to finally get something. They've taken a lot of L's for a
Them as
lot of
in
people.
them as in who?
A Town Down Under.
Gotcha.
Kind of seen them taking a lot of. I won't say taking a lot of L's as much. It seemed like since the whole Vince is gone thing, Austin Theory has really been kind of kicked to the curve constantly. And now there's a part of me thinks that was on purpose. And there's a part of me that thinks it was kind of like what John Cena said that one time he talked to him during their little feud. You're not ready as much as you think you are. And he didn't even say that at first. He waited when he tried to just wait on him to say stuff back. And it was almost like he was saying, what you need to be working on right now is talking because everybody knows you can wrestle almost. Like bring something else to the table. And I think this year has been their way of trying to find some way to get him to bring something to the table, which when he had to go against somebody else, I can't remember who it is right now, his word game was a lot better. His, comebacks were a lot better. And being with a guy that can talk like Grayson Waller, it seems like it's helping him on that end of the universe. Now, flip side, they've been taking some L's here and there, but you can tell their team people hate to see do anything. So it makes sense that somebody had to be, bad guy and win something. So, kudos to that. But anyway, moving on. The rest of the match was just as crazy between like Waller getting thrown between the darn ladder. I mean, from the top of the ladder through the darn another ladder, which was nutty. Then big head JD McDonough coming in trying to stop our truth from winning. And then everybody decided, you know what, F you, and pushing him through the darn double tables that were sitting on the outside of the ring. And finally, in the move that anybody that's been watching could see coming, but I think some people were still a little surprised. Our truth goes up there and does the one thing that nobody thought he would do. He actually picked the belts off and everything and celebrated and won the darn match for him and the Miz, who also has been really doing a really great job of just seeming, rudderless at the moment. So Truth doing what Truth has done has kind of given them both this kind of shot in the arm they both needed because he's come in with a house of fire. And I don't care what nobody says, the stuff he's been doing to Judgment Day has been awesome because it's been must see TV. Yeah, Goofy Wrestling for Life, but it's been great Goofy Wrestling for Life. It's been stuff you looking forward to seeing. So I'm glad they got the little titles off of that way. So, good job.
Hey, everybody has their what they like, what they don't. I'm not the biggest fan of all the stuff that they were doing with Truth because I just have my own personal biases with that. But I will say that regardless of whatever or whoever y'all might have thought of out there, it was one thing that was going to be abundantly clear, especially after SmackDown on Friday, that this is probably going to start the demise, if not on Monday, Friday, or next Monday, the demise of Judgment Day. Because it just
Mm-hmm.
made sense, you know, how, and we'll get to it later about the other match, but we could see like dissension because of the fact that Dominic was trying to recruit Andrade. and he was being bedfellows with Legado del Fantasma. And mommy was kind of upset that he's making these decisions without the rest of Judgment Day, especially her. And so, with that dissension coming, it was like, okay, I can see where, they're just going to have a bad weekend, so to speak. But we'll talk about how it wasn't completely bad later on. But it also gives
Mm-hmm.
like Rhea Ripley a lot more to say at this point because she has her title. So it was just like it just looks like the Judgment Day, or at least Priest and Balor, were going to lose the title so that they can continue
Mm-hmm.
that breakup arc. But also there was the moment with talking about Priest where he was trying to climb the ladder and referee Jessica Carr looked like she was just trying
Mm-hmm.
to like she was
Grab
trying
his
to
leg.
yeah,
Yeah.
but she was trying it looked like she was trying to like not just grab his leg, but like she didn't want him to win, and she was in there causing distraction or something like that. When in reality, the ladder was broken and it was on its last leg, literally,
Mm-hmm.
and she was just trying to keep pretty safe from falling or whatever. But if you just kind of looked at it with the wrestling lens on, or professional wrestling, or sports entertainment lens, like why is the referee on the take? She,
Right.
she's trying to stop, and Priest kicked at her or whatnot. I was like, what are you doing? But it didn't go awry, which was good because that could have been a really bad spot for both him and Miz, who was on the other side of that ladder that was
Mm-hmm.
falling
That
apart.
thing was terrible.
So, but like, and you could also tell that Awesome Truth was going to win this match because they really made it a point on commentary to say that our Truth has never won at WrestleMania. Like when they say
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, you know that that's going to be like something to key in on. Either they're really going to do it or they're really going to not. But seeing as how I feel like this is probably part of the tail end of our Truth's wrestling career or in ring career, like they've got to give him at least one because he's
Mm-hmm.
willing to do all that goofy stuff or whatnot for them and for the entertainment of the
Mm-hmm.
fans. So, uh, but I lingered on that too long. But we'll get on to like the second part, what I was going to talk about with the next match, which was not Legado del Fantasma, but Santos Escobar of Legado del
Mm-hmm.
Fantasma and Dominic Mysterio taking on Rey Mysterio and wait,
Andrade.
the newly faced, previously heel question mark Andrade El Idolo, because like he never really wrestled, but he was seeming like he was being courted by Dominic, but he never really let on that he wasn't liking to be courted. So it's like, did he just turn face, or was he always a face? Who knows? But
Right.
but it was that tag match, and of course, Santos was joined by the rest of Legado, including Electra Lopez, and of course Andrade and Ray were being escorted to the ring by the rest of LWO, including the shaded Carlito, which I feel like something's going to happen with that soon.
Mm-hmm.
Soon, Carlito and Zelina Vega. So what did you think about this match?
Just glad it was over because I mean it was more shit. It was more. It was like okay, we always have to say there's a palate cleanser in the mat somewhere, and this one was kind of like semi supposed to be, but it just seemed like it just wasn't really interesting. It was cool. That's it. It was just cool. It wasn't one of the matches where he was like, I'm gonna remember what they did this. Now, no, this is one of the matches where they did the usual shot, slingshot dude at the ring. Then they did a couple people jumping in. The only thing I actually remember that even semi matters is the finish because of what happened, and that's it. No other reason. Otherwise, this match was like pretty much there.
You can go into that finish. I don't
Yeah,
care.
because in the finish, it looks like once again Dominic's about to finish his dad off, and somebody else has to come save his dad. But in this case, it was two guys and big old Rey Mysterio green mask. End up being Kelsey, who used to be the center for the Eagles, and
Jason.
the tackle. I can't remember how to say his name right now.
Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson.
That's it, Lane Johnson. As I was trying to remember the other guy's name, but both guys came out as first huge human beings because they dwarfed everybody in the during match, and then second they just manhandled everybody in there. So of course, set them up, finish them off, everybody wins, yay! And then they all stand up there with their arms in the air, and they look like they're just being dwarfed by these two giant human beings. So thanks for the Philly assist, but yeah, that's all I remember from that match. That's how terrible it was. Thanks.
Local sports team. So I mean, Andrade, I give it to Andrade. Like he has his hits. He does the back elbow, which always looks good. He does that moonsault that someone rolls out of the way of. In this case, it was Dominic, and then he does the back flipping, standing moonsault splash, which Charlotte has incorporated because marriage.
Right.
Um,
And them two knees that always look really good in the corner.
the
That did
double
look pretty good.
the double knees,
Yeah.
something Toro Blanco esque, if you will.
Right.
Um, you know, but they all wrestled together, so it makes sense that they all kind of shared some of the same move set. Unfortunately for me, like the Joaquin Wild spot, they've done it too much now, so it's not as it doesn't have the same shine on it
Mm-hmm.
that assisted whatever you want to call it, springboard splash that he does. That's supposed to be, where he flies further out
A
from the
million
ring.
got there miles away than he should. Yeah.
It looked good the first time he did it in NXT because it was like, oh man, But after that, they continued to do it because they got a pop for it, and like y- wrestling sometimes has that kind of thing where they can't show any restraint and they just do stuff because of the fact that the crowd reacted once. Hold off on it. You don't have to do it every single week. Like it's okay.
Right.
Let it be a
Thing that we
special,
look forward to, not something we expect every damn time
you
you walk
know,
out there.
a special moment for that. So, like you said, Rey Mysterio seems like at WrestleMania he has to have somebody come out and help him. Which I think Cultaholic even said as well that he had to have somebody come out and help
Mm-hmm.
him every year. So, but babyfaces win. But it goes to my point earlier when I was talking about Judgment Day with Dominic eating a loss. This only will further
Mm-hmm.
fuel Mommy because he's made this decision. Not only did trying to court Andrade blow up in his face as he was one of the ones on the opposing side, but he also couldn't get a win with um, Santos. Also in
Mm-hmm.
that, Big Head McDonough, he's in the doghouse because he couldn't even help to keep Awesome Truth from getting the belt.
Mm-hmm.
So you have this dynamic that should go on TV moving forward of the demise of the Judgment Day. Um, but this leads into sad day,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't even
Yeah.
know at what point that they talked about the attendance. Was this in between this? Was this the attendance record, or was that after this next match?
I think it was after, but I mean, it didn't matter because both of them sucked. So hey.
This one was a little bit less than, or this was a little bit more than the next match of, you know. Unfortunately, I think the climate kind of affected because people were cold, and they can't get really hype
Mm-hmm.
if you cold, no matter how much you into it. And I mean, I'm gonna sound super biased, but whatever. Like WWE fans and wrestling fans in general, for the things that they love, they will get hype over it, even if it's not hype. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think that's anybody though. When they really love something, they'll get hype over something that's not hype. So the next match on the card was the brother versus brother, Jay versus Jimmy, and unfortunately, first off, let's talk about when I told y'all about the musical performance. One was a hit. Rhea Ripley's was great. Jay Uso came out with Lil Tunchi, Lil Wayne. Miss. Number one, no one could understand what this boy was saying. I mean, I know because I know the album, but I'm not sure if anybody else would know what he's saying. And then it was like, this is a snippet. So I'm about to age myself. So hey kids, you remember back in the day when you could get like the sample of a track that they're trying to promote and they would only give you like the first 15 seconds of it and then you get an instrumental on the other
Mhm.
side? That's what Lil Wayne did. So um, that's what I felt like. He did a milli and I'm like, wait, I thought you said you had a new single that you
New
were trying to
song.
trying to come out with,
Right.
but you did a milli. Cool, great. Your face is on, on WrestleMania, but whatever. But
And you literally look like the worst rapper alive when you came out there. Not the best rapper. So let's just go and get that out there now.
yeah,
Anyway.
but it was Jimmy versus Jay, and even the build up to this match, if you take the elements of the bloodline away from it, it didn't have, there was something that's missing. And we had talked about this off camera, and I'll let you get to that here in a second. But there was something that was missing even to the build of it. I know this is something that both Jimmy and Jay had wanted. Then this is something that they, this is a dream of theirs to face each other at WrestleMania instead of being a tag team for what they're known for. But with the crowd being kind of dead and, you know, it kind of dragging on for a little bit, it unfortunately for a lot of people, wasn't it was the worst match of the night. Um,
Mhm.
there's a lot of that going on online. Um, it had elements where it could be better, but it it was a miss, and that's sad because of what they've done to
Mhm.
build up Jay and like the things that Jimmy could have done to build himself up and just to make this match a whole lot better. But yeah, I mean, I'm not spoiling anything in what you're going to say by saying that Jay won, and I mean that was the right choice.
Mhm.
I mean that was the right choice having Jay Uso win over his brother, but I still think that there should have been something else, and we had talked about it, like I said previously, off camera, and you had
Mhm.
mentioned something to me. So what was your take on this match?
The biggest problem with this match is not that it was a bad match per se. It's a bad match that didn't have any stakes. See, people have to remember the last really important, brother versus brother match that anybody actually halfway gave a damn about was the Undertaker and Kane. And remember when that one happened at WrestleMania, this was after Kane came out, ripped the door off, beat the Undertaker up, and they finally had like that little match, and then he gets buried alive. There were stakes to this match, him coming back. It was a big deal for him to come back because everybody thought he was gone, which everybody takes a break. But that was there were stakes to the match. And then with Owen Hart and Bret Hart, it was for a title. When you have stakes, even if people might not necessarily feel both sides, it still gives them something for you to care about. And outside of just them having beef, there was no real stakes to give a darn about. That and it came after that, you know, match with Rey Mysterio and them. So it's just like, eh, it just didn't have it. Like we always say, as a performer, from like just watching somebody wrestle, okay, it was all right. But from an actual one match everybody's looking forward to, and I'll tell somebody to go watch it, no, because it wasn't very good. It was just average at best. And at WrestleMania, with something you guys call yourself pushing with no stakes, it's got to be awesome. And it was not that. It just was not that. Period.
See what you did there with beef and steaks. Um, they got
Giggity.
beef with no steaks, but
Giggity.
no giggity. It's just beef and steaks. It's meat related, but
Giggity.
um, but yeah, I mean, Undertaker and Kane aren't real brothers. Um, but it goes
Duh.
along with the WWE and what they've been doing every decade. And it was brought up that every decade they will have at their WrestleMania show a brother versus brother match. They've been doing that for 4 decades at this point. So it's a brother versus brother match every decade. So in 10 years, we may get the Hardy sons or something. I don't know. Who knows? Um, but
The
anyway,
guns.
I don't think the Guns going. They don't want them boys. Um, Next match, the 6-person tag match that included the remainder of Judgment Day, which is Asuka, Dakota Kai, Kairi Sane. Mind you, they are the women's tag team champions, and
Being
they did,
damage Kintaro.
yeah, Damage Control, but they did not have. This is 2 years in a row where they do not have a women's tag team match on WrestleMania. It's the exact reason why Sasha Banks and Naomi left originally, because they were not booking this. And as I said in the NXT review, I hope with the implementation of a mid card women's belt that they don't treat it like they treat these tag team titles. Because at this
Mm-hmm.
point, who cares that they're the women's tag team championship? I mean, I do, but the way that they're being booked and the way that they're not being showcased on a big show like WrestleMania, who cares? But you
Right.
had them take on what I dubbed Black Woman Magic, which is Bianca
Mm-hmm.
Belair, Jade Cargill, and Naomi, uh, formerly known as Trinity and TNA. And yeah, I'll have my thoughts here later. But Hogs Wars, what you got on this one?
All I know is I like the way they looked. I like the way they came down. I love when Bianca killed Oscar with that their hair. That was so loud. Yeah, I felt bad for her when she hit her with that hair. But other than that, it's just it was what we say a lot of cheeks around there, so it was nice to look at. But overall, it was all right. That's the best way to put it. It was all right. It didn't suck. It was all right. You sir.
So that wasn't a lot, and everyone knows that I'm biased with Bianca just because
Mm-hmm.
you know East Tennessee. But okay, I did my soapbox for the women's tag team champions. So let me get on my soapbox about Jade. So Jade is an athlete, yes, but she has not been on TV wrestling. She was brought out in the fall of 2023. She did Royal
Mm-hmm.
Rumble, and now this is her first match, real match, which is at WrestleMania. I am not throwing shade when I say this, but what was the holdup? Now, if the holdup was the fact that they made that report and said that she wasn't ready after coming from AEW, then you tell me what it is that she added to her arsenal that she didn't already have, because I seen a lot of the same stuff that she did when she was in AEW in that match last night. On top of that, you put her in a 6-woman tag, because you usually do tag matches like that when you want to hide someone's, roughness, the greenness. You don't want them out there, or if they're too old or something like that, if they're an old wrestler, you don't want them out there performing the entire night. So if those weren't the cases, then what was it? Because, like, she's made a big deal, and she should be, because of, the aura that she's brought with her. But if you're saying that she's not polished, she's not ready, what have you done that added to that, you know? And where are you going to go from this? Because you just grouped all, with the exception of Kota Kai, you grouped all the Asian women together, and you just grouped all the black women
Back with
together.
it again.
And you have another group on the same show that's all the black men. So what are we really doing? Like, it's my real gripe with WWE, and we talked about this off camera too, where WWE has this thing where they will group everyone of the same race together, whether it be Hispanics or Latinx, whether it be black,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be Asian, Japanese, Chinese. They group them together, and sometimes in stereotypical type groups. Now, I know for
Mm-hmm.
some of them, I know they do it and they ask for it. But, you know, can they not be just a person and not group with other black women, or Canadians group with other Canadians, or, you know, whatever it is? They have a
Mhm.
tendency to do that. Excuse me. But this match was what it was. I mean, you got all the hits that you needed out of it, where, you know, Bianca showed off her strength. Naomi, who I still think they're treating so badly after she had such a successful run in TNA,
Mhm.
you know, and she was highlighted on TNA television, and she comes back to WWE, and they just kind of, you know, kick you out of the elimination chamber first, and now you're in a match where you're kind of the third wheel of a three-person group, like, and
Mhm.
Naomi, you know,
And she looked like she was upset the entire time she was there. But that's neither here nor there.
it's like Jade, Bianca, and there's Naomi too. So, but they get the win. Jade got to hit the Jaded on Dakota Kai for the pin, and then she did that LL Cool J lick the hand Finn
Right.
thing that she's now started to do. Like, she used to do the pin, but she didn't used to lick her hand like that. She used to do that
She
same
used to
thing.
lift her head back, but she wasn't
Yeah,
doing all this extracurricular sexual stuff.
yeah,
So I guess somebody said, you know what, be more sexy while you out there. Like,
right.
yeah, no.
I mean,
She done got to be more sexy. She already fine. What else she got to do?
easy killer. This is the thirsty hogs
This
wars.
is the honest. I'm just being honest. She is. Let's put it.
Thirsty.
She is not hard on the eyes, as somebody used to say back in the day. So okay, I'm done. All right,
Easy
go
killer. Put some ice on it. But yeah,
on.
she's, you know, and shout out to Jade wearing the natural hair, her short hair, because I don't think a lot of people knew that she had her natural hair short, but whatever. Like I said, I guess this was at the time where they did I don't know, they did the attendance, which was over 72,000. I think it was like 72,450 something. I don't remember, but yeah. Then the match, the penultimate main event, you had the IC championship. You had the challenger Sami Zayn versus the reigning defending champion over 600 something days. I think 666 days. I think
Literally 666 days. And as soon as they said the amount, I said, oh, okay.
666 days. Gunther.
Ugh.
Um, so as Sami Zayn, because, you know, with the new production, they take the walk with the wrestlers to Gorilla and out the Gorilla and stuff like that. Um, Sammy is kissing his wife and telling his son that he'll have to stay in the back and can't come out and see it. And, you know, he's walking, and they go to Gorilla, and who's standing there before he goes through Gorilla? None other than KO. And, you know,
Mhm.
basically letting him know that it's his time. You know, do your thing, buddy.
Mhm.
You know, Sammy goes out, and Gunther, you know, I think the biggest thing about this match was that Gunther was underestimating Sami Zayn the
Mhm.
entire time. Like, and I forgot
Mhm.
to mention that Chad Gable was also on that walk too that he went through. Greeted
In
Chad
in
Gable.
a damn good suit too. I had to give them that. That was a nice suit for them.
Chad Gable. But yeah, he it was just a matter of underestimating him and stuff like that. And Sammy, of course, everyone knew Sammy was going to get the boots to him. And I think the first part of the match was kind of cool because everyone was waiting for the chop. And so what they did was subverted everyone's, you know, reality. And Sammy just kept eluding the chop until he finally got chopped. And I mean, I've heard
Mhm.
some of the worst chops, and it wasn't the worst chops that he was getting. I've heard some that sound like shotgun blasts to the chest, and
Mhm.
like they weren't that bad, but I mean, it's still Gunther, aka Walter, chopping you, so it's not going to tickle. So,
Mhm.
you know, I'm I was not expecting the end that we got. I did find it somewhat comical to the Hulk up moment in the match. Like someone was shooting Sami Zayn with electricity through his legs, and
Right.
he was
And Bethel was shaking hard to get up. Like,
he's having to fight with the invisible person that was on the mat with him, and like, yeah, but
like when you hit the little door stop on the side, it'd be like bling. It just keeps kind of bouncing. Hell yeah.
yeah, and you know, we all knew he wasn't gonna get a blue thunder bomb on Gunther, but he got one hell of a brain buster on the top rope
Man.
onto the top turnbuckle. It wasn't as brutal as the one that Will Ospreay hit on Takeshita, Konosuke
Or
Takeshita.
or
Um,
Kyle Fletcher hit on your boy on Friday, but
Lee John or Lee John, Big
Yeah, on
Brother
Shotty Lee,
Shotty Lee
yeah.
Johnson. Yeah,
Man, that one was that one I was like, ooh, but it still was nasty
it
though.
wasn't that bad, but you got to think how big Gunther
Right.
is
As big as he is, that still looked nasty. It really did.
as opposed to Sami Zayn. So,
Hmm.
but go ahead and finish it off since
Right, since we didn't already pretty much said it anyway.
no.
But so after, like you said, after Sammy, got the Hulk Hogan moment and hulked himself up and got his legs try to work finally after all that chaos, and he hits him with the brainbuster in the corner, which I don't care nobody said that's still the nastiest move that's in wrestling right now. He gets him over and gives him two haluva kicks and finally gets the pin. And it was funny because it's almost like he just collapsed on him when he got when laid on him with the pin. And the referee hits three. And even I was kind of like, he wasn't gonna hold his leg or nothing. He just gonna just give up. That's how. But he wins the match, and he's in total shock that he really won the match. But in the same token, the crowd had this like, you finally got a belt. Yeah, happy, happy times. Everybody was joyous. I was happy for him because it just felt like he went through so much with the bloodline. They finally built him up to be this, superstar almost to a certain extent. And it's like they kind of died after he lost in like Elimination Chamber last year. So it's almost like we built you back up again, and then we had the Rocky moment with him and your boy on SmackDown. So it's like, yes, we finally got the win. Good job. So I mean, I'm happy for him. I'm glad he won. Gunther kind of walked off like he couldn't believe he actually lost the match. And we move on to the last one.
Yeah, the final match of the night for night one is, of course, the tag team match with The Rock, Roman Reigns taking on Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes, which this one should have been called the Bloodline Rules match as well. But
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you lead off so that you can go ahead and get your stuff off.
That sounds so wrong. But anyway, first off, because I think everybody I know thought the same thing. Seth Rollins, I love you, man, but did you really have to have that terrible goddamn blue hat on the side of your darn head? I don't know, but I mean, he doing two-tone everything, so we doing stuff. All right, great one. But besides that, everybody came out to a pretty good entrance. Everybody got going pretty well. It went kind of as expected because everybody was kind of protecting the Rock to a certain extent because they know they're expecting him to do a lot. He hadn't really wrestled in a long time, but he still had his moments. Everybody was all over the place during the match, and for the most part, it was pretty much a pretty good match considering what we expected. It's just it was interesting during the match. A lot of times, the referee would try to count, and the Rock would just pull a boss move and just be like, "You ain't doing nothing until I tell you to." Like, wow, hold on, just overtaking the match and stuff like that. But other than that, I like it a lot. What about you?
Hold on, gotta adjust something.
Okay.
Cool. So let me back it up. Um, this match is what most thought that it would be, as the it made more sense for who won to win,
Mm-hmm.
so that night two could have what it needed to have. So I do find that it went rather long because I talked to you before we got on camera and was
Mhm.
like, the match started at, we're on Central Time, so 9 o'clock for us. And I was like, I guess they're going to give them the whole hour. I said, of course, the intros will take a little bit of time, especially for Rock and
Mhm.
Roman. But yeah, it took a whole hour plus for the match. Um, Kudos to Dwayne the Rock Johnson for getting out there and still selling like the Rock sells. He sold for who he needed to, and he got out there and did a good portion of the match. There was a lot of it that he was on the outside.
Mhm.
And of course, I mean, after not wrestling for 8 years, I mean, I don't know what else that anybody would expect of him. He wouldn't just jump out there and just run a full match. Also, kudos to Roman Reigns for being like, hey, I'm going to be standing beside Dwayne The Rock Johnson, who is known to be a pretty jacked guy. So I'm going to go into the gym, get myself cut, lean, and make sure that I have,
Mhm.
the WrestleMania body that I need to be in comparison of my cousin. Um, and to think about this man fighting, leukemia, which is in remission, and he's gone out there to look like that. That should give
Mhm.
everyone motivation. Like, you have no excuse. This man, could have died
Right.
twice. You know,
Multiple times.
goodness, I just turned you down and you went back up.
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't. It's not my fault. I can't do nothing about it.
I turned it down. I don't want to bust anybody's ears. Um,
Hey, I'm sorry.
you're loud. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, we know this, but okay, keep going.
But yeah. So I mean, the match carried on a little bit longer than probably it should, but in the end, you get The Rock and Roman defeating Cody and Seth. Like I said, just in order to have the bloodline rules on Sunday, so that you could kind of have the overbook and have a bunch of stuff. Seeing as how they was pubbing this up to be like the biggest match, the Cody
Mhm.
versus Roman being the biggest match of WrestleMania history. But you got all the greatest hits. You got, The Rock out there doing his rock bottom. Got interrupted the first time he tried to do the people's elbow, which I was kind of laughing at the fact that that's what won it. the,
Right.
the people's elbow, and the fact that The Rock was, using his stature in order to kind of run the match because he told the referee if he counted the pin other than or counted anybody out, counted the pin on anybody else, he would be
He was
fired.
fired.
And he said, I'm doing my job, that kind of deal, which you would expect. And The Rock has really kind of rolled into that heel role as much as possible.
Mhm.
Big sell from The Rock, getting hit with a spear, an errant spear by Roman Reigns.
Mhm.
He had a big sell that's probably a meme by now with Rock Face. But yeah, you just had a despondent. Also, Rock coming out with that People's Champion belt that was given to him by the widow of Muhammad Ali. He, you can tell he kind of keeps that near and dear. That means a lot to him because he went out to the ring with it, and then he was holding it after the match. So,
Mhm.
but then you had despondent Cody Rhodes on the inside after the
Look,
match,
looking like John Cena after he lost to The Rock.
just kind of dejected. But like I said, it needed to do what it needed to do for night two, and we'll just roll right into night two because why not? Because there's still, which this one went a lot quicker, so we should.
Mhm.
And seeing as how it was just a couple of hours ago, we should be able to kind of roll through this kind of quickly. So,
Mhm.
but I'll take this time to say for those of you who are watching along with us, thank you for watching. Make sure that you hit that like button real quick. Doesn't take nothing but a second. Hit that like, drop a comment if you will. If you're in live, hey, jump into the chat, say hello, say who you are. We appreciate your viewing and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, we haven't been posting as much lately, but we do what we can when we can because lives. But we move into night two, being since night one was intro and opened up with Triple H, Paul Levesque, would only be right that a surprising return of Stephanie McMahon kicks us off for night two, which, she does her whole she steals her husband's shtick with the "Are you ready?" and all that stuff to get night two kicked off. But it was great to see Stephanie McMahon out there, after everything that's going on with her dad. So less we say about that man, the better.
The better.
Yeah. So we move into the first match, and we have Drew McIntyre challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship against Seth freaking Rollins after he got his butt whooped. I almost said the other word. Got his butt whooped in the not Bloodline Rules match, tag match the night before.
Right.
Um, Hogs was what you got on this match.
Good match for what it was, but the ending is what sells this whole match. Just is what we've been waiting on. We've been waiting for a while on. So I liked it along with Drew McIntyre deciding that he was so bored that he gonna text people during the match on somebody's Twitter. So I'm like, I don't know how he pulled that off, but he did. Go right ahead. So that was kind of funny. But long story short, it the ending is what was expected, but the aftermath of the ending was even more expected, and rightly so because it was time. So
So with the intros, you had Drew McIntyre. I don't know if you want to call it paying homage, but paying homage to the late great Roddy Piper, as he
mm-hmm.
had a bagpipe band that came out and played what is known as Piper's entrance, but I can't remember the name of the actual song. But it's not Roddy. It's not Roddy Piper's. It was created way before Roddy Piper. But
Mm-hmm.
and then you had Seth Rollins come out in some gear that is a tradition. I can't remember what they call the tradition. It's a tradition that happens in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's like for what do you call it for New Year's? They come out and
yeah,
kind of like the same thing that they do in New Orleans with the Indians. That's what they're called, at least in New Orleans. I don't know what they call them up there, but they're more like Spanish up there in Philadelphia.
yeah. So he came out dressed like with that. Um,
Mm-hmm, that massive hat. Yep.
so in the match, of course, CM Punk was on commentary,
Mm-hmm.
and find it funny how Drew McIntyre, his criticism of Seth Rollins was that he was distracted by everything that was going on with the bloodline and helping out
Mm-hmm.
Cody and all of that. And he just couldn't help himself with CM Punk being out on
Mm-hmm.
commentary. But um man, like the reversals and counters in this match as far as like the stomp and number one, the match started off with a Claymore out the gate, and everyone
Right. Looked like it was over with at the start of the match.
and everyone bit like immediately.
Mm-hmm.
But um, it did continue and it went on, but there was multiple claymores, multiple stomps in the match. There was the future shock DDT that almost never puts anybody away now, but you know the leg injury from the previous night during the bloodline match paid dividends in this as well. Seth Rollins did good with
Mm-hmm.
selling that. Also getting the selling of his back, because Drew focused on those two things as well. Um, what Hogs Wars, which you was alluding to, the end happened to see. Drew McIntyre with a Claymore finish off Seth Rollins to win the World Heavyweight Championship. And like, speak about the dejected look. Seth Rollins looked very dejected. He was outside the
Hmm.
ropes and he said a couple of words to Drew McIntyre. I think he said something like "you deserved it" or something like that. Or
And stay focused.
yeah,
That's the one part I noticed. He said, "Stay focused."
and Drew celebrated. He has his wife was out ringside, kissed his wife. Crowd cheering and stuff like that. I do find it funny what you had talked about earlier when he used the person's phone. He was on actual X and he said bored at work was what he said while he was on the
Captain
sideline.
Troll,
Well,
man.
he's the biggest hater award of the year. So, of course, with having that moniker, he went directly to CM Punk and was talking trash
Hmm.
to CM Punk. And of course, CM Punk being CM Punk, he was like, I can't hear you. I have on headsets. I don't know what you're saying. Yeah, is that about right? And he's just living the moment up. Drew McIntyre is. He's like, I need to take a picture of this, and he's just really, really just selling it in, soaking it in, and stuff like that until he kind of crosses the line with CM Punk, and shocker, CM Punk ain't hurt. he's he's back to well because he was wearing the brace on the right arm the entire night, the entire weekend. He takes the
Hmm.
brace off, and you know mind you, CM or excuse me, DM Punk, Drew McIntyre tried to do a go to sleep in the ring and failed because he got countered. But now you had the real CM Punk outside with his brace and wallops him in the head. And what's this? Music, Damian Priest. With
Hmm.
everyone who's been waiting for Damian Priest, which again, this is just my take. Everyone has what their opinion on it. It's good to see someone, for me, hold on to that briefcase longer than just that same night because usually they just cashed in within the night on like the next Raw, the Raw after Mania or whatever. He's held it almost the entire year. And just when I was at the WrestleMania party last night, Hogs Wars, somebody had said made the comment when he came down to the ring in the tag match. They said he brought that briefcase just to remind everyone that he still has it, and that was kind of
Hmm.
the foreshadowing for night two. So he came down and gave a drive-by shellacking to Drew McIntyre with the briefcase after he had been hit with that brace. He hurries and scrambles Drew McIntyre in the ring, gives him the south of heaven. One, two, three. You have a new world heavyweight champion
Champion.
in Damian Priest, and now along with Rhea Ripley, Damian Priest also holds a world heavyweight champion. So you got the men and women's world heavyweight championships held by two members of the Judgment Day, which they all came out and celebrated with Damian Priest at the top of the ramp
Hmm.
as Drew McIntyre just was like, I fumbled,
Wallows.
I fumbled the bag. So,
Hmm.
um, any other point to talk about with that?
Nope.
Okay. So we move on to the second match of the night, and I didn't realize that this second match would have all these bells and whistles to it. You had Snoop D-O-double-G come out as the special guest commentator, which I absolutely loved. I mean, CM Punk on commentary was
Heck
was
yeah.
fun, was fun
Was
and everything.
trash.
It was fun and everything, but having Snoop on commentary because we've seen what Snoop can do with commentary when he's done the Olympics and everything. So we know
Hmm.
Snoop can be really entertaining. And a couple of times he almost dropped some f bombs, and they were making comments at commentary about smoking weed and how Michael Cole smokes weed, and Of
And they've
course,
had meetings together before.
and Pat McAfee had smoked weed and everything. So you had him at guest commentary, and you had a special guest referee of Bubba Ray Dudley or Bully Ray.
Mhm.
So no Devon, no Devon. But when Devon's not there, any black guy will do. Um, just how it's been. But you had the Final Testament, which was Karrion Cross and AOP
Officer, oh,
taking
Officer
on
Payne.
taking on which looking at the notes from Fightful, they're not internally listed as the Pride, which some people said they were, which I thought that's what they were going to go with. I don't like the Pride. I like the name that I came up with, which was Street Business, which made a whole lot of sense, but they're just
Mhm.
Street Profits and Bobby Lashley alongside BFAB um, for a Philadelphia street fight. Your take on this match?
Thank God it was quick, but it was also Snoop Dogg commentary made the match. He made the match because the match itself really wasn't very that interesting. That and then that one moment where Bubba Ray flipped the switch when they tried to push him. He put his Karrion Cross tried to push him, so he put the shades back on for like he was a Dudley boy, and then got everybody to call the tables and do the what's up. Other than that, it was pretty much paint paint by numbers. Good guys beat the bad guys who they've been getting their butt kicked by over and over again match, which ended in tables, of course, which is always nice. And the funny part about that was they put Karrion Cross on the table so they end it, and he falls through the table. So I'm waiting on Botchamania to bring that up. I'm just waiting on that one. But then they put another one on there, and here comes uh Dez Tez, and he's jumping like a million miles in the air and lands on him with the splash to win, and Bobby covers him for the win. And everybody was happy. So yay, wonderful. Glad it is over with. Because between that and BFAB kicking the tar out of Scarlett and then putting her through a table earlier, that was pretty much the highlights of that match for me, sir.
Gotcha. Um, Segment backstage with Kayla Braxton and uh, now class of 2024 Hall of Famer Paul Heyman. She was inquiring
Mm-hmm.
about what the bloodline rules would entail, and he gave her a sarcastic answer saying if you look up in the rule book and see rule, and he made up some kind of stuff, but he was like, no, there's no rhyme or reason to bloodline rules. Just know that, and he essentially said, and I'm just kind of paraphrasing, that Cody would lose and go back to his wife, or one person would lose and go back to their wife named Brandy, which is Cody. So yeah. After
Mm-hmm.
that, you had Slim Jim presents the Grudge match, which was L.A. Knight versus AJ Styles. L.A. Knight pulls up in the Slim Jim mobile, who he, went upon his entrance, gives the keys to one lucky fan who looked like she couldn't care less.
Right. Like she didn't know what she was at. Like,
uh,
okay, thanks.
and then you had the newly jacked AJ Styles, which
Man.
what are we doing with AJ at this point? But he has said that he's looking at his time coming up for wrestling in ring because he said he doesn't want to be where he can't do the moves and people are like, he should give this up. So he understands that there is a time limit and he doesn't want to go past that. But he does
Mm-hmm.
look good as far as, physically and just getting back there in shape and stuff. Um, it it's another match that I feel like could have happened on SmackDown. That's just
Mm-hmm.
me. I get it, the WrestleMania matches, or at least how we remember them, which that may be biased depending on how we remember them. But WrestleMania matches are always the culmination of storylines that have been lingering on for the previous year. I can't say that this has been one of the best question mark, but it has been a storyline, and maybe it's some give some closure for both men to go and do something different. Uh, Maybe LA Knight will be in a championship. Maybe he will go for the U.S. championship, which we'll talk about. But I think they need to do something different with AJ Styles, as you know, he is consistent. Like that's the thing with AJ Styles. He's consistent. He's dependable. No matter who you put in that ring, he's going to make sure they look good. This was no different. Again, this match was brought to you by Slim Jim with Slim Jim section, Slim Jim car, Slim
Mhm.
Jim theming, Slim Jim, Slim Jim, Slim Jim with
the,
Prime,
the long boy section. Woohoo! Yeah,
with Prime in the middle. So got something to watch that Slim Jim down with.
down with.
But your take on this match?
It ended really fast. It really did, and part of me looked at the match like they must really don't like each other because they hurry up and got that sucker over with. But in the same token, it just seemed like they was just ready for it to be over with. So you do a couple reversals, looks like AJ's about to win, and then of course one more reversal, BFT, match over with. Yeah. So glad LA Knight won for the sake of argument, but I agree with you. It just seems like there's got to be something better for both of those guys. Hopefully, especially as over as LA Knight is for the sake of argument, it should be time for him to finally kind of make that line to get a shot at somebody's title, like a real shot, not look that kind of semi push he got earlier.
Yeah, I did like there was a moment in the match where there was a reversal and AJ turned it into a Styles clash, or was trying to set up for a Styles
Mm-hmm.
clash, which was really cool. But yeah, LA Knight won, which yay, popped the crowd. Cool. Let's move on to the next thing. Maybe we'll see Tamatonga in WWE. Maybe he helps out good old Uncle Allen and does something there. We already got the Good Brothers in NXT who should be going for the championship belt so that we can move Braun Breaker back to SmackDown where he is a member of the roster. So, whatever. Then we got the announcement for the first time ever, SmackDown will be happening in Saudi Arabia right before their King and Queen of the Ring PLE, which is taking place on May 24th and May 25th. Um, yeah, King and Queen of the Ring in Saudi Arabia. I'll just say that. Next was the previously alluded to United States Championship match, triple threat between the champion Logan Paul, challengers Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. And I'll talk about the intros and kick it over to you, Hogs Wars, because
Mm-hmm.
Logan Paul, big ass truck. It's past 5 minutes, so big ass truck, big old bottle of Prime, a Prime cannon on it. KO says, "I see your truck, and I raise you a golf cart," and with a hand drawn picture with KO on it, and he rides all the way down to the ring, only for Randy Orton's music to hit, for him to hit it in reverse and ride all the way back and
Hit in reverse, Terry.
then ride ride Randy Orton all the way down to the ring. So,
That's what she said. Anyway.
but I will say that before he even went out, just in mirror reflection to night
Mm-hmm.
one with Sami Zayn going out and Kevin Owens giving him the pep talk, Sami Zayn with Intercontinental Championship belt on his arm uh, gave the it's your turn to Kevin Owens. But what did you think about this match? What were some of the things that pointed out to you? Your overall thoughts?
First, good match. Second, for Logan Paul to only be doing this as long as he's been doing it, he's getting better and better. Even though I still think he's got to be a little more careful with these flipping in and trying to do that during buckshot lariat kind of thing. It's like the way he's landing still kind of just from a guy with bad knees standpoint, like just be a little more careful, kid. But other than that, good match. I liked how they started out where Logan thought he was gonna make them fight, and they was like, "No, we don't like you." So they chased him around most of the beginning of the match until it finally got to the point where somebody had to pin somebody, and then it was like, "Oh yeah, we got to actually fight each other now somehow." So that was cool. Uh, really enjoyed a lot of spots. Uh, Randy Orton especially because a few of his RKO's were literally just things of beauty because they were just out of nowhere pretty. And then KO had this one cool little spot where he gave Logan the pop up power bomb and then gave Randy Orton the darn stunner, which that was just chef's kiss. That was pretty, just beautiful timing. But in the end, as was expected by us lovely, we watch way too much wrestling guys. Logan Paul pulls the rug out from under him and gets the big W with a very nice. I guess you could call it a frog splash, but heck, the way his legs moved out, he was so high in the air, you could almost call it like look like a darn like almost a switchblade or a jackknife or something in the air because that guy's legs was moving crazy. But cool move. I like the way it finished. And I like how at the end of the match he goes aside and tells Randy, said, I like you, man, but I had to win, dog. And I was just like, who cares? You won. Leave. Go have fun, dude. That and there was a spot with his homeboy. It wasn't KSI this time. It was some other dude that I don't know his name. But he comes out the little thing, thinks he's going to help out. And Randy just gives him the nasty RKO on the table, on the announce table that didn't break, which that's one thing Yellow Boy pointed out. How many times they knock all the stuff off the darn announce tables tonight? Like 7 or 8 times? Like, yeah, no. So, but only one, it don't seem like it only broke like twice for all the darn movement they did on these darn announce tables. It only seemed like two of them fell down. But anyway, uh, like I said, good match. It was, actually pretty good. It did not suck. And ready to move on to that next one, sir.
Oh, I can't talk about this match.
Hell no, move on. No, I'm kidding. You know you're good with me, baby. Go ahead, son.
Just went ahead and was like, "We moving on. I done said what I need to say, and you ain't saying nothing. So peace. Appreciate it.
once
Appreciate it.
again, once again, I apologize, sir.
Appreciate it." I was just gonna talk about the psychology and everything. Some of the things that weren't talked about. I mean, I felt like we were gonna compliment each other. I say stuff that you didn't say, and you say stuff that I didn't say. You like, no, I
Right.
said it. I'm out.
That's it.
We done. Hey, all
That
right.
was not the plan, but I apologize.
All right. All I was gonna say is the match started out with the because of this partnership that KO and Randy Orton had, so they were double teaming Logan Paul the majority of the time. Even when Logan Paul was trying to get them to work against each other, it was only until they went for the first pinfall where they were like, "Okay, we are both going for the same thing right now, so only one person can win this championship." And then they started doing a hockey fight, fists and stuff like that, and punching each other, where they kind of broke that off. The person that you were trying to think of is I Slow Speed or I Show Speed. Sorry, I Show Speed is the name of the guy that you're thinking about. He's also a streamer. Um, who was in this year? He was in the Prime Get Up, just as KSI was last year, and to recreate the picture that they took last year, I Show Speed or just Speed. Speed was in a neck brace on a stretcher as KSI was in his suit and on the stretcher last year. They took a picture backstage, him and Logan Paul. Uh, and yeah, it was while you talked about the pop up and then into the stunner, what you forgot about was the pop up into the RKO, where
Yeah, yeah, that was cool. That
he
was
gave him a
cool. Yeah.
pop up and he went into the air and came right back down to RKO, which was dope. And like Randy every year continues to try to innovate to find a new way of how to hit that RKO, just like how DDP back in the day used to hit that diamond cutter out of
I was
nowhere.
about to say that. Yeah.
But this is why aren't you glad that I was able to go ahead and talk about this after you was like, move on, sucker. Um, but yeah, and I think both of us had decided, and a lot of people like Logan Paul needed to keep this. I don't know where you go with him. Like I said earlier, maybe LA Knight who dethrones him,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, you had made the comment off camera that both Randy and Kevin Owens didn't need to win, but
Mm-hmm.
we are going to get to a point where we need to crown a new U.S. champion because Logan Paul really doesn't need it, but I get why they're doing it because of who he is and the star power that he brings. So,
and it keeps them on TV, which is what they really want anyway.
Yeah, I mean, but he really ain't on TV as much, because he's like that star attraction. And he has the
Mm-hmm.
podcast and he has all his streamer friends that are coming in, and it's gaining the younger audience because you or I don't aren't really familiar with iShow Speed or KSI. We don't really just
Mm-hmm.
get on Twitch like that or get on any of their streams like that, but there's a generation out there that does, and that's what's captivating to them. So we had what we had when we were watching it in the early 2000s, 90s, and stuff like that. And this is what they have for
Mm-hmm.
them. So it keeps that going. But again, like I said, you don't necessarily need to have him have the championship to, keep that going. He can still be that main or that attraction. But we move. It's okay to move on, right? We move on to
Ha ha ha! Very funny.
we move on to the penultimate match of the night, which was the uh, WWE Women's Championship, which is champion Io Sky versus Bailey, challenger. Uh, Unique intro from Bailey. She had an Egyptian queen kind of theme where she had some guys that were dressed up carrying her out and then putting her down so that her music could play. And she wasn't even on the throne. They were just carrying her. Like they couldn't pull out the budget just to have like the throne that they could carry. Nah, just carry Bailey.
like they ain't got one already in the back from all the other times they carry people across crap.
So, they carried her, she came out. EO Sky, strangely enough, Damage Control Damage Control came out with her, but they didn't stay with her. They went back to the back.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'll just kind of talk about again. I'm an EO fan. I'm a women's wrestling fan. I don't like how Bailey didn't get one. I don't like the fact that she won the Royal Rumble and earned the right to be a main event at WrestleMania, and she got put as the penultimate. Like I guess you can call it a co-main event, but she
Mm-hmm.
earned that right when she won Royal Rumble, which Cody won Royal Rumble and he main evented 2 nights. I think y'all need to do something about that. WWE with you know Bailey's been loyal. Bailey's been there with the four horsewomen getting hurt and leaving and all that stuff. She has been consistent.
Mm-hmm.
She held them down during the pandemic. She was one of the highlights, if not the highlight, during the pandemic time. So she gets rooted to the penultimate match, main event of the night. Something's wrong with that, but I digress. This was also a showcase of EO and EO's style. Before she was EO Sky, she was EO Shirai, and she was doing some of those reversals and things that she used to do back in Japan, which folks were oohing and eyeing. I'm like, well, she's had this. She had this in NXT. Y'all just
Mm-hmm.
didn't see it, but you know, um, Bailey busted out her Bailey to belly. EO busted out her because her moniker is uh what is it? Queen of the Sky, Io Shirai. So she's doing moonsaults, those things, which again, I'm a big EO fan. However, Hogs Wars, what's going on with the rest of this match? What happened?
Well, definitely in love with the moonsaults. Definitely in love with a lot of the smooth transitions EO has. Them they have beautiful transitions. If you know anything about that ground game type of thing, really liked how they used getting hurting Bailey's knee in the beginning of the match and just constantly working at it and working it and making it seem like she could barely walk near the end, and it really helped near the end. So it looked like it got to the point where Bailey might have had a chance to hit the rose plant. She goes for the rose plant, and EO reverses the rose plant in like a cool kind of forward flip motion that was like everybody was like, "Whoa, wait a minute, did that just happen?" type thing. It was really, really cool. I really enjoyed that. And then came back. She got ready to do another one of her moonsaults. Looked like it's over with. Bailey's gonna lose again. And in the end, finally reverses that, gets her out, finally hits the Rose Plant in 1, 2, 3, and yay, Bailey's won the match. I was a little surprised, but only a little bit because I just knew they were going to try to keep it on her. But as the conversations me and you have had throughout, the show, it does seem like they're not consistent with what they do with Japanese women. It's not. Even with the men in Shinsuke, it's just not. It's almost like they get to a certain point and then don't know what to do. Like we can put your belt on you, but we don't know where we want to go past it. Dude, they're just wrestlers like everybody else. They have great personalities. Use the personality to do what you want to do. But that's just me. From the conversations we've had. I do want to see more women's wrestling matches. I do want to see more of them getting better and having more, opportunities. I just, I guess the one thing about the niche that is ROH is there's so much women's wrestling on the ROH that you almost feel like when you start watching the main roster of both AEW and uh, WWE, you almost feel like you're kind of missing out a bit. But that's my 2 cents, sir. What else you thinking?
Um, my favorite match of the night. That's what I'm thinking. My favorite match of the night. Uh, Good job, Bailey, and it's Genius of the Sky for those. You didn't know. You said she was Genius of the Sky. There, take that. I didn't look it up. I just remembered it as I said it, and it came out my mouth. So before all you folks get on here, she's the genius of the sky. I got it. We're good. But very good match. We have a new champion. What will they do with Damage Kantaro moving forward? Who will be the next contender for the women's championship? I don't know. We'll talk about that a little bit briefly in our final thoughts because we've reached our main event. Do the
Yay.
cheesy Mark Henry smile? Main event. So Cody versus Roman Reigns, the champion for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. It's the uwu. It's the
Right.
uwu.
It's the uwu.
The uwu. And it's bloodline rules, whatever that meant. Because the first half of the match to me didn't seem like bloodline rules. It just seemed like a regular match.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about it throughout, but we knew at some point there was going to be the overbooked madness that was the last 15 minutes of that match.
Man, I was so happy for it. I'm sorry, I really was.
Just we knew that it was going to be, and that's what we said for night one. We were like, yeah, it makes more sense to have Cody and Seth lose, so that way you can, bang, 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 put up all your bells, whistles, and streamers and everything else, because it's your last night of WrestleMania. You can overbook the mess out of it, bring back people or whatnot, and for what it's
Right.
worth, they didn't have a lot of returns, or and I know that's part of Triple H's doing. He doesn't like having like a bunch of old timers kind of taking up the spotlight and shine from all the current wrestlers and stuff. He has no choice about The Rock. But you know,
Right. Ain't none at all.
usually you see like a whole mess of cameo appearances from folks. This match had it. It, it didn't need it, but it made it what it is and the entertainment that it brought. Um, so kind of tag team this one here. The first half, like I said, it was a lot of Roman feeling himself. You know what I mean? Because
Pretty much.
Cody really wasn't just hitting on all switches, but he was doing the two things I can say about Cody. One, he can cut a great promo, like a very
Mm-hmm.
heartfelt promo. And two, he's gonna give you a wrestling match that is somewhat like the wrestling matches of the NWA, AWA. He's
Yeah.
gonna give you those matches, and he's gonna sell and do those types of things. And he did that in this match. I mean, not the promo part, but do the sales and do
They
the
definitely the sailing. Yeah,
yeah,
God.
and
He sold his butt off in this one. I will give him that. He did, but so did Roman in a lot of ways too. Because
yeah,
Roman made him when he did have his Cody lives to come from behind at everything. He fight from under, as they like to say.
now that's
He
a
loves
giggity.
that. He
That is a giggity.
loves that. I know it is, but still,
That's
he
a giggity.
loves that. And it's like both guys are working side by side to really push this and really because I mean, let's be clear. There's a small thing in the back of everybody's mind thinking maybe they'll keep this thing going and say, like The Rock said, forget your story, blah blah blah. But in the same token, starting from the entrances with, you know, Cody still coming out like Homelander, but except this time he wanted to mix in the Triple H with his I got a skull mask on, which Brandy comes out and then everybody cheers Brandy, which is not what used to happen the whole time she was in Gathering. They was in AEW, so yay to that. Then Roman comes out with all of the drums and everything, make it sound like he's coming from an actual island or something, and he showing his tribal chiefs, which is pretty cool. So I mean, the mood was there for you to be like, this is a big deal. This is not just some regular main event. This matters. And like you said, they get into the match. Everything's going pretty well. They're giving a lot of back and forth, and then it got to that part where all of a sudden everybody wants to try everybody's moves. So Roman gets Cody with a really nice ooh man, what's it called? Cody cutter. It's not a Cody cutter. Um Lord, help me out here because my brain is dying all of a sudden.
Disaster kick,
No, the where he catches him, he's about to his finishing move.
crossroads.
Yeah, he hits him with a crossroads. I'm like, okay, nice. That was nice. And then it looks like he gets reversed, and then they go outside, and well, not before that, all of a sudden we both said this because I just knew it was gonna be the ugliest thing ever. But he still hits him with a spear, and it looks like he's just hugging his best friend when he does it. But it's a spear, yay! Everybody's happy about it. And then they end up back outside the ring, and Cody ends up hitting him with a spear outside the ring, which I thought was kind of cool. But it's still, like I said, just there. And then Roman takes him on a walk outside, and they end, he ends up getting reversed. Cody ends up reversing him into like a suplex on the table, and he looks like a goddamn fish moving around. It's showing the little paint on there, which was cool too. So I mean, it was some cool little highlights outside the ring, and then we get back inside the ring, and this is when as we say, the overbooking started, if you will.
Yeah, you knew that the bloodline were going to be involved at some point. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we got some extras, but you know,
Man.
you know that Jimmy, from out of nowhere with a super kick to Cody
Mm-hmm.
Rhodes. Of course, with Jimmy being in there, it prompted Jay to come out, which they fought up the ramp and out the back, and so the match continues for
Oh, you remember when they hit the table? Because that's what was crazy to me. I couldn't believe they hit that table. I was
oh
like,
the
holy
the
cow.
table spot
Yeah. I
between
was like, ooh.
yeah, as Jimmy takes, or excuse me, Jay takes Jimmy out from the side of the ramp, which it was definitely a good spot. If you hadn't seen it, because of the fact that it looked like they were just going to die and there were no tables there,
Right.
but the tables were strategically placed, and because like they were fighting, and then it was just like, excuse me, Jay just turned around and just went for a spear, and it was like, oh, well, they did, but there was two tables there to kind of it didn't it didn't cushion the fall much, but it cushioned the
Heck no,
fall.
because it showed like it was just like them dead. It's like, oh wow.
But in a spot where Cody looked like he was rallying and he was going through his multiple crossroads, just
Mm-hmm.
later on, this is when Solo comes out, and it took a minute because they were trying to set up. I knew what they were trying to do. They were trying to set up the same exact spot from last year's WrestleMania where Solo
Mm-hmm.
costed Cody the championship by being in the corner. So Cody looked to the corner where he thought that Solo would be, but Solo, I guess, missed his cue or came out a little bit later than what he's supposed to because he came out on his other side on the ropes and hit him with the Samoan Spike, and I had said I was like, well, maybe this is where Seth comes out, and takes him out. Since we had Jay and Jimmy, maybe Seth comes out here, and of course, Hogs Wars and his all-knowing Nostradamus, he was like, well, it makes more sense for John Cena to come out, as prior to his recent departure, John Cena was in a rivalry with Solo, and as to know, John Cena lost to Solo, which was very surprising. So Hogs Wars is like, it makes more sense for John Cena to come out, and I was saying, well, maybe Stone Cold will come out. And just as soon as I was saying Stone Cold will come out, and we'll see if John Cena comes, I said the name, and it was like Candyman. He just popped up and ran
Right.
down to the ring.
Dun, 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 dun.
Comes to the ring. I said, well, there's my answer. And what did what did John Cena do after he came out though?
So John Cena. Now the whole time we were saying this because there was a report that John Cena couldn't do anything because his new show's got a whole new season coming up. So they were like, he probably can't do nothing. So I'm like, he ain't got to do a lot, just a little bit, right? So of course he runs down there like he always does, like a bat out of hell, gets in the ring, and now this is after Solo has already hit Cody twice with the spike, and Cody's gotten up twice, so he's already kind of frustrated right now. Anyway, so here he comes, and they fighting like always. They go out to the outside of the ring, and of course John's being John Cena, he pulls his shirt off, does a little spin and toss, trying to be all him, and it looks like okay somebody's going through a table. I'm like, well, we know John ain't gonna go through no table, but I don't think Solo is for the sake of argument. And this is what we got into that argument about how many times somebody gonna knock stuff off the table because here comes John throwing stuff off the table. He picks him up, hits him with the A through the table, and I'm just like, well, I be damned, you did more than I thought you was. So there goes Solo from the picture for the sake of argument. And then John gets in the ring, and he's like, I was giving Cody like the thumbs up, and then all of a sudden, here comes the rock music, and it's like, oh crap, what's the rock gonna do? So lead it back to you, sir.
Well, you know what was going to happen with them and their rivalry. And they had like the moment they were trying to go for like the Rock Hogan, where they were standing face to face and
Mm-hmm.
trying to look to the crowd left and right, but the crowd wasn't really just reacting like they wanted it to. It was
Right.
just like, yay, it's the end of the show, yay,
Yay.
so, but John Cena did catch that fade. He caught a rock bottom. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't think was going to catch that, but he did catch a rock bottom. And then him and his ball spot rolled out of the ring because as The Rock didn't even have real time to kind of enjoy his triumph over his Fast and Furious castmate. He caught the big dong.
Boom.
The the
Balls.
the big dong. The
Boom.
big he caught the big dong. Now,
Dome.
and before we talk about this, what was trending on X this entire night?
Oh, still mad about that. They so wrong for that, and
Hogs
they knew
Wars?
they was wrong for that.
What was trending on X this entire
Let,
evening?
let me get the exact phrase because I know I'm gonna say it wrong. So why was everybody on Twitter talking about the bisexual Undertaker all night long? And
Bisexual Undertaker.
I'm like, who the heck are they talking about? And then I go to see the picture and it's Damian Priest. I'm like, oh, don't do my boy like that, y'all. Y'all wrong for that.
Wasn't even about the Undertaker himself,
Right.
but yeah,
Man.
I guess good old Stone Cold wasn't able to make it, but good old Mark Calloway had some left in the tank. Had a little bit left in the tank after he showed his big dong twice,
Boom.
one to turn off the lights and one to turn on the
Turn back
lights.
on.
There he appeared behind Dwayne the Rock Johnson, or excuse me, I'm saying his name wrong. Rock the Dwayne Johnson. There you go. Rock the Dwayne. Um, he gives him somewhat of a choke slam because in all his heftiness, The Rock can't jump like he used to, and in all
Right.
his oldness, Undertaker can't pull him up like he used to. So it kind of was like a halfway choke slam.
Uh-huh.
It,
Just enough to say you did choke slam, but not enough to say it was a real choke slam.
so can we say it was a choke slam to hell? Maybe it was a choke slam to HEIL, like on Dragon Ball.
Maybe it was just a slam. We'll live with that one. How about that?
Choke slam to heck.
That'll work. Hey, hey, a choke slam to high.
All right, to hey, to he, choke slam to he. There you go. He didn't get the two L's.
Right,
Well, Undertaker didn't get the two L's, but The Rock did. So there you go.
right. He took a big L, and then all of a sudden, darkness, and he's gone again, like ain't nothing happened. Both of them just out and gone.
Both. And what could overbook this even more? Which I thought was funny because no one knew what was going to happen. Sierra, Hotel, Indigo, Echo, the Shield. I ain't gonna go through all the letters. The Shield music hits. You know, the old Roman Reigns slash Taz music hits, and we're looking, trying to see. Of course, it was Seth Rollins, and he's in Shield gear. But before he could even get to the daggum ring and do anything, before the camera could
Right.
even pan to him, Roman took his butt on out.
Like, wham. God, he crushed him. I felt so bad for him.
caught, he caught, and he really caught the fade. I'm like, dang, what? Okay, cool. So you have all this mass carnage that's happened in this ring,
Mm-hmm.
and you have Seth Rollins, who is down. He's still hurt from yesterday and earlier in the night,
Today.
you
Right.
know, where he lost his title. And you have Cody, who is just obliterated from those thumbs to the throat. Take that how you want to. And there's a chair in the
Right.
ring.
Mm-hmm.
Roman has a decision to make, and
Mm-hmm.
he's looking. Man, he's like, man, I don't forget, man. This dude hit me in the back with this daggum chair and broke up the shield.
Mm-hmm.
So he grabbed it and just hits him in the back, same way that he got hit in the
He
back.
annihilated Seth Rollins with that chair. God, he hit the hell out of man. Like for all this, like he was like, I've been holding this in for 5 to 10 years. I'm getting rid of this now.
Yeah, he got his get back on Seth Rollins
Ooh, boy.
for what he did in the Shield. Unfortunately, John Moxley is probably sitting somewhere making a memeable picture, thumbs up in the whole ordeal to
Mm-hmm.
his Shield brothers. But yeah, so I don't remember how we ended into what we ended into. What was the transition, or did he just grab?
Right there. It was right there. It's
Did he
like
just?
he chose him, but the problem is that gave Cody just enough time to wake the hell up and say, "Oh yeah, Crossroads,"
Well,
and
that's what I was
because it's
saying.
you,
I wasn't sure.
Crossroads
I
too.
wasn't sure if it was.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure if he had grabbed him into some form of hold or whatnot, or he just went straight into the crossroads. I couldn't quite remember. Um, but yeah, he did those
yes.
crossroads. It looked like both men were kind of spent because
Mm-hmm.
after that first one, trying to lift up Roman's body into that second crossroads, he was like, "Man, come on, dude! Like, get
Right. Like
up!"
I get it. We're all tired. It's been a whole weekend, and then yak. Let me hit you one more time. And
Right.
then of course, because it's Roman, he got to hit it one more time. And
But
then I'm sitting there like, well, that don't matter because I mean he done got it from three up beforehand. And lo and behold, 1, 2, 3. And I was like, okay.
and this is with 15 minutes left before the hour. Let's just put that out
Right.
there.
Which is never how they end. It's like
More
all
than
kind of time
15.
left.
Yeah,
It
more
was
than
like damn near 30 minutes. Hell.
yeah, more than 15 minutes. It was like maybe 18 minutes left before the hour, and I was like,
Mhm.
okay, is there going to be something? Excuse me, but the bloodline kind of limped out, like Rock and Roman
Mhm.
and stuff kind of limped out of there. Paul was kind of in disbelief, and they just kind of exited the scene while Cody, you know, I was, I commented that even Samantha Irving was like shook by the
Yeah,
win.
that's the what got me too, because she couldn't even say it at first. She was almost like It was like she was tearing up when she said it. Like, oh wow. So it
Yep.
meant a lot to more than just him. It meant a lot to everybody.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, she was kind of in some kind of way. The commentary were the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Cody went, of course, got the belt tearfully. You had some of the guys, some of the baby faces from previous matches in the night come back to the ring to celebrate. Cody got on the mic, and he had all these folks in the ring. You had Sammy, Randy, L.A. Knight. Um, who else was that? CM Punk was in there.
Post Seth Rollins.
Yeah, kind of. Wasn't he out on the floor?
No, they finally got him in at the end. Like they
Oh,
finally
okay.
got him up and moving. But it's like it took forever. Like I knew he was beat up for real, for real. After that, it was just like he was barely hanging on out there, man. But yeah, go ahead.
KO was in there, and the real forbidden door of all professional wrestling and sports entertainment, -1, little Brody himself was seen on AEW TV and on WWE TV. That is the real forbidden door. He's everywhere. Um, got the secure contract when he turns 18 to AEW, but can still show up on WWE TV. That man is the that young man is the forbidden door. So,
Mm-hmm.
but Cody's mom was in the ring celebrating with him. Who they didn't have in the ring celebrating with him was the one person that everybody would have loved to see celebrating with him, and that's Pharaoh. Pharaoh the dog. Why was he not out there with them? Because the fireworks didn't go off until late. They could have put some earmuffs on that puppy, and he would have been okay. But no. Um, then Cody says that he none of this would have been possible if it weren't for two people, and one of them is fighting tooth and nail not to come out. One person was Bruce Pritchard, which the crowd booed when he came out, and then of course Triple H would look like in his head he was saying, "Cody, I got a bunch of stuff to do. I don't know why you called me. I got to do this."
Mm-hmm.
And they both made their way out there. They had their moments. Cody and Triple H put their heads together. Triple H said a few things to him or whatnot, and then he raised his hand, fireworks, all that good stuff. Then the boys raised him on their shoulders. It was a real feel good moment um, for the end of the night, and yeah, that that was it. Anything to add to that?
Outside of him talking to Nick Khan and every cameraman and every dude on the side and everybody on the West Coast, I think he gave more hugs out than people I don't need to say right now. So I mean, it's like the man was giving out all kind of love tonight, man. I appreciated that because it made me realize how much he was thankful for everybody out there, not just people just saying, "Hey, I'm glad he won a title." It seemed like he was appreciative of everybody else that was there just to help him be Cody Rhodes. So that made me feel a lot better about the whole situation. But once again, what's going to happen tomorrow?
Yeah, but like I said, we talked off camera. That's just Cody Rhodes' DNA. Like he's appreciative, even when he was on AEW, even when he was on ROH. Whenever he's in a position where he's that guy, he's very appreciative of those who make him that guy. Whether it be from the lowly cameraman on the floor, production guy putting up the ring. If you're in that area where he can thank you, that's kind of what Cody's MO has been, which makes him unique. You respect the guy. Unfortunately, he couldn't. So he actually got to win a championship, and I guess we'll kind of get into some closing stuff. But he got a championship. He screwed himself out of ever getting a championship in the company that he ran by making a stipulation that didn't need to be made in the first place, but it's good to see that he got that championship. I'm glad that he negotiated on his terms to come into this company once again and become the
Mm-hmm.
superstar that he knew he could be, that no one else in that company at the time had faith in him to be. Um, so this is just a culmination of all that. And I mean, I'm saying it in a different way, but it's undeniable or undesirable to undeniable. I just said it a different way. But I wasn't the biggest fan of night one. It kind of ran a
Mm-hmm.
little slow for me, and maybe that's kind of due to some of the crowd's lack of interaction. Night two went a whole lot better. I thought it would be the opposite based upon the matches on paper, that it would look a little bit
Mm-hmm.
different. But I knew that the Cody versus Roman match, once the stipulation was put in there, that it would be fun, which it was. It's a fun match, but it was a long weekend. These WrestleMania weekends, while fun, is a lot of work, and especially on the two-man team, it's a lot of work. Uh, I will say again, I think, and I'm not speaking for everyone, but for myself, after the Raw, after Mania, I think for our results, I will be kind of stepping away for a little bit just to kind of recharge, refresh, and be able to just sometimes be a fan and watch wrestling without having to worry about posting results and, looking at this and that or whatnot. So the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday results of, well, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday results of this week will not be posted. I'm sorry, I went to bed last night, so I forgot all about Collision. I was tired. I forgot I forgot about Collision starting at 10:30 our time last night. I was like, wait, that is going on right now. I was like, oh well, I'm just gonna go to bed. So um, I'm happy for Cody. I'm happy for Bailey. I'm happy for Damian Priest, our new champions. Happy for Sammy that he got that for
Mm-hmm.
himself after kind of going cold for a little while. I am looking forward to the future in this Triple H era, which also they I heard rumor mill that there is a draft coming. I don't know when, but it's going to be coming soon. So all of these folks may be jumbled up again to different shows. Then you're going to have the Netflix Raw, the USA SmackDown, I believe, in the
Mm-hmm.
fall, and the CW NXT. Is that what station
Yep.
it's going to be on? Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's going to look completely different this time next year is all I'm saying, and this is
Mm-hmm.
part of the Triple H era. So for what it's worth, or WrestleMania this weekend was fun. Love nights 1 and 2. Love doing this for you guys, you the people, you know the gimmick. um but I'm tired, and I'm pretty sure that Hogs Wars is too. So get your thoughts on it, Hog Wars, for the entire weekend, including Ring of Honor Supercard.
Overall, if you liked wrestling, you couldn't hurt for wrestling this weekend. There was so much wrestling this weekend. Literally, it was so much wrestling starting technically Monday of last week that if this was your Super Bowl or your Super Week of stuff, you would be in hog heaven because every night there was a show. Every night there was probably 3 or 4 shows, and then on the weekend there were shows from the dang near time you wake up to the time you went to sleep. So I promise you, if you had love wrestling, there was enough wrestling for you out there. But overall, I enjoyed what I did get to see. I am tired, and now I understand why all these other dudes that do this say the same goddamn thing. This is a lot, and you still got the Raw after Mania tomorrow, which they screwed last year. So hopefully they won't do so bad this year. But anyway, that's my thoughts, my friend.
All right. Well, yeah. Again, people are tired, but when you only have two people and this is not their primary job, understand, if y'all still watching, you watching this on catch up. Hogs Wars and myself, this isn't our primary. We don't make money from doing these things. We do it because we love wrestling. We love hanging out with each other. We love being able to be silly and be our genuine selves on camera to you, the people who
Mm-hmm.
watch. We enjoy that. We love giving our takes. We really would love if you would be more communicative with us and give us your takes, because, like, we're a
Mm-hmm.
wrestling community. We like hearing it. Good, bad, ugly. Just love hearing it.
Mm-hmm.
We do it for the love of the game, but just when there's so few numbers, it's tiring. And when you add it on to the stresses of our actual daily lives, it makes it sometimes very difficult. So understand that's why we haven't really just been here as much as we have. And as you can see right now, we're just a two-man team instead of our regular three-man team because life's like I said, and
Hmm.
the regular job and rigmarole of life has gotten to OHB, and so he can't be here as much as he would like to be. So send him your love in the chat. Send him your love in the
Hmm.
comments as well. Uh, but it's been a great week of wrestling. I almost sounded like Elmer Fudd. That's how tired I am. It's a great week for wrestling. But again, this is if you're a wrestling fan, as Hosmer said, this is our Super Bowl. This is our
Hmm.
NBA Finals. This is our Stanley Cup. We live for this
Daytona
weekend.
500. It's everything.
Yeah, we live for this weekend. There's a lot to cover. Obviously, we can't cover everything that goes on during the weekend, and surely we can't cover everything that goes on our IG and on our pages and such. We try to do as much as we can, but like I said, this isn't our primary job, so we get what we can out there when we can, which is why
Hmm.
we both will need breaks and stuff like that. So we do appreciate if you've been following Day One A1, love you. Thank you for giving us all your support.
Hmm.
If you're somebody that you found this in uh, your suggestion section of YouTube, hey, come on for the ride. Join us on Instagram. We'll eventually get back on Twitch when we can. We will do post some live stuff from Instagram randomly. So, but
Hmm.
also thank you for that. It's been a ride. WrestleMania 40 in the books.
Hmm.
I don't know what else I can say. I think I've been rambling. So before we get gone, just make sure you like. If you're watching this live or on catch up, please like this stream. Put comments in. Share. Subscribe to the channel. I mean, we've got good stuff in the playlist. Go check those playlists. We've got news from the previous year. We've got a bunch of beer reviews and those sips and those Mad Dog Mondays. Go check all of that stuff out in the reviews. Go check out our old reviews of the old PLEs and pay per views from all the previous shows that we've watched. Um, I wish we still had stuff on file from Twitch, but this is just a big thank you because this is like when WrestleManias hit typically or Hogs Wars, that's when they reset the season. So it's like we're going into a new
Hmm.
season with Bros, Brews, and Botches. So this is our chance to just kind of say thank you to those who watch and support. But anyway, it's been almost 2 hours. Do all that stuff. Go follow us. Hogs Wars, where can they follow you at?
As always, I got my IG Hogs Wars on IG. It's spelled the same way it is on the screen, so it's easy to find. And then like you said, I always post ROH. And thank you to all the indie guys who always like our posts, and the Shane Taylors and the Big Brian Cages. Thank you guys. For at least acknowledging we exist. Thank y'all very much.
Oh, you said acknowledge. I just went into it.
What about you, Yellow Boy?
Y'all can find me always at your mama's house chilling on the couch after eating a big peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But other than that, you can find me on
Ugh.
Twitter and Twitter or X at Badass Yellow Boy. That's BADAZZ underscore YELLABOI. I'm not giving out anything else because it's too personal. So, man, look, great WrestleMania weekend. Hogs Wars, I wouldn't have it any other way to just have you, other than having OHB here with us to pull some
Right.
real white boy stuff. But he's also a real American and a scientist, so you can't really get too mad at him.
Right. And you got to respect how he does it, how he rolls out there in the Appalachian Trail,
Yeah,
building all the most random things that continue to keep people drunk. So, hey, get it in when you can.
yeah. So, well, that's about it. For me, I'm Yellow Boy from Hogs Wars, from OHB. This has been Bros, Brews, and Botches. You've been watching the WrestleMania 40 breakdown, review, post show, whatever, man. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Until next time, y'all, we out.